Ellen DeGeneres is getting under fire. I'm surprised people are not talking about it more, but I'll tell you, when you have toxic talent that has control over programming and has, the autonomy over, a big staff of people that are working hard to make your show good. Because let me tell you something, Ellen DeGeneres should be thankful of the staff that she has that puts that show together. It's not so much her that makes that show, the guests they bring on, the content they put together, the prizes, all the things that are doing. Remember, you have an audience that was actually been abandoned by the fact that maybe Dr. Phil or Dr. Oz or others have not been able to go and flip the bill. And there's a lot of those shows that come out, Tamron Hall or Kelly Clarkson, that have new talk shows, but they don't have the drive of what Ellen DeGeneres does. Ellen DeGeneres gets put on in major day parts. She might be put on at like either 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning and very major times in the morning, or 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right before the local news, which are major spots to be. Those are access hours. That's when you know you're going to have real programming. And that's when you're not having the leverage of having network programming that's out there. So these shows, they're brought on at a premium by all these local affiliates around the country. This is a show that people want because it brings in ratings. But it's not just so much about Ellen DeGeneres. They've done such a good job of making her look kind of wholesome. But now we're seeing the ramifications of it, that people have been doing such a good job for her, and she's treating them like shit. And this needs to be called to the floor. The fact that she's acting like this, and even guests have said the same thing. So I've been on a rampage about this because I'm just saying to myself, who is she to go ahead and be so fucking sanctimonious and acting like she is? Listen, she lucked out in a lot of different ways. She was on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show, got noticed. She got to sit down with Johnny. That was, basically getting crowned. And she did, listen, she's gotten a lot of breaks, man. She had her own TV show on ABC. And, she's got her own game show on NBC and all this stuff. And I'm telling you, she's paid a lot of money. And for whatever reason, she acted like the Queen of Nice, but she's not. Now, I never heard this kind of story when it comes to Oprah, or when I heard either a Judge Judy or all these other shows that have been around for a long ass time, right? You don't hear these kind of stories, or Jerry Springer, or Maury Povich for that matter, right? I don't think I ever hear anything like that. But when you hear Ellen DeGeneres here, now I don't watch this show, but again, it gets viral. A lot of things that happen on the show get viral, and people talk about it. And she has a big following on YouTube as well. So think about that. This is not her putting all this together. She just happens to be like the pea in the pod that works this all out. So anyway, let's get into the story. BuzzFeed and Vulture talk about this. So former employees say Ellen's Be Kind talk show mantra masks a toxic work culture. So again, hypocrite. That's very important. And I'll tell you, I see it all the time in TV news when I was working in TV news. Or I've seen it in other television. It happens like that. But to get to this point and now people are outcrying about it, that's pretty bad. Just saying. So now if Ellen, quote, wants to have her own show and have her home name on the show title, she needs to be more involved to see what's going on. So that's the other problem. So she's not even involved with the show. She doesn't put really any time into it. Now, credits too. I'm pretty sure Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon, they probably put a lot of work into their shows and writing things up, and Conan O'Brien the same way. And you think about all those other talk shows. Are they really just plop down and just do the show? If Ellen's really doing that, that's horrible. So at the end of the story, one former employee told BuzzFeed News, quote, that Be Kind bullshit only happens when the cameras are on. It's all for show. I know they give money to people and help them out, but it's for show. So BuzzFeed talked to one current and 10 former employees of the Ellen DeGeneres show. They all asked to remain anonymous for retribution from this award-winning NBC daytime talk show. Again, it gets awards, gets ratings. One of the few things it still does on regular TV, which is, is there anything that draws anybody to watch regular TV anymore? Put on the rabbit ears, if you will. So here's some of the horror stories. They said they were fired after taking medical leave or bereavement days to attend family funerals. One employee claimed she was fed up with comments about her race and walked off the job. What the fuck is that? Huh? Then others said they were also instructed by the direct managers not to speak to Ellen if they saw her around the office. You're supposed to be collaborating with a fucking host. How are you not able to go ahead and work with her so she can be in lockstep with what's going on with the content? But again, we talked about this before. You've seen previous videos, and I'm putting up there in the cards. You can actually take a look for yourself. I did a story about how, when she started her show from her home during the pandemic, her staff was furloughed. They didn't know when they're going to get the next paycheck. They had a lack of communication for 2 weeks. And it's because there's only a couple of different producers that circle around and basically keep Ellen at bay from her talking to anybody else. What the hell, man? So, in the story again, most of the former employees say that they blame executive producers and other senior managers for the day-to-day toxicity. But one former employee said that ultimately it's Ellen's name on the show. She needs to take more responsibility for the workplace environment. So the executive producers, I think, surround her and tell her, things are going great. Everybody's happy. And she just believes that, but it's her responsibility to go beyond that. She probably knows. I don't think she just has been blind for over 10 years doing this damn show. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. Not for 1 second. So she's almost done this for 20 years. So over the course of nearly 2 decades, this is what the executive producers in a joint statement to BuzzFeed from the Ellen Show actually said about taking the stories of the employees very seriously. Ed Glavin, Mary Connolly, and Andy Lassner. They said, quote, over the course of nearly 2 decades, this sounds like it was legally written, and 3,000 episodes and employing over 1,000 staff members, we have strived to create an open, safe, and inclusive work environment. We're truly heartbroken and sorry, to learn that even one person in our production facility has had a negative experience. It's not who we are and who we, yada, 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 kumbaya bullshit, right? So now, a black woman who used to work on the Ellen Show told BuzzFeed she experienced racist comments, actions, and microaggressions during her year and a half as an employee. She said when she was hired, another senior level producer told her and another black employee, oh, wow, you both have box braids. I hope I don't get you confused. Oh. At a work party, she said one of the main writers told her, I'm sorry, I only know the names of the white people who work here. And other coworkers awkwardly laughed it off instead of coming to her defense. So when the former employee brought up issues of race and representation on the show, asked producers not to use offensive terms like spirit animal in segments, her colleagues called her the PC police. When she started speaking about discrimination, she said all of her colleagues distance themselves from her. Yeah. Spineless turds that want to keep their fucking jobs because they're worried about, well, it's Hollywood. And even if Ellen's is a C word, I won't say it. If she's a C word, then it doesn't matter. It's a job. It's in Hollywood. We have to tolerate it. No, you don't. This is the same thing when it comes to the Me Too movement. You don't need to be tolerating. If you don't know how to do your fucking job, you shouldn't have to tolerate any of this shit. Remember, it's merit-based performance that makes you a good content creator or good behind the scenes or whatever the hell you're doing. And if you're not going to respect, the least you should be getting is no disrespect, right? And not an unsafe or toxic working environment. I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's about merit. It's about respect. Because then on top of that, you're working for somebody that you don't respect because look at who she is. Yeah, she turns on a smile and acts like she does, dancing on camera. Doesn't matter. So after 1 year at Ellen, she said she asked for a raise after learning another recent hire made double for doing the same job. Despite having worked in the TV industry for a decade, her manager told her, quote, they'd see what they could do, but then months went by, nothing happened. Then another former employee said she was called into executive producer Ed Glavin's office, reprimanded for the objections to the term spirit animal, asking for a raise, suggesting employees on the show receive diversity and inclusion training. He said, I was walking around looking resentful and angry. Wow. Now, for years, she felt a fear of speaking out, but is now inspired to share experience because of recent conversations about race in Hollywood and other workplaces. This is the kind of stuff that should be talked about. Yeah. DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion. I agree with all that. But again, only if it's performance-based. And it sounds like this young lady is definitely performance-based. There's no reason this professional person, either in a production sense or whatever she's doing, should not be done. But again, this is the whole point, and this is what's got to be said. This is where I believe the whole Black Lives Matter discussion has real validity. It actually has capital right here. This is a great story to tell about Hollywood, because you should get called out. Quote, I feel like I'm not alone in this. We all feel this. We've been feeling this way, but I've been too afraid to say anything because everyone knows what happens when you say something as a black person. You're blacklisted. But that goes not just for black people. There's a lot of people that if they're saying anything that goes against the status quo, blacklisted, blackballed. And it's been a common thing. That goes with politics. That goes with a lot of different things. Because there's a certain agenda, there's a certain culture, there's a certain everything that goes along. And if you don't play ball completely, then, you're persona non grata. The former employee also said her manager from Ellen recently reached out to her amid the Black Lives Matter protest to apologize for not being a better ally. Oh, what the fuck is that? But the former employee said it's too little too late. Now, that is bullshit. That is below the belt, Ellen. You piece of shit. I said it. Quote, I feel angry about the way I was treated, and I am always going to stand up for Black, Indigenous, Latino, and Asian people, regardless if they're around. She said, I can't not say anything. I'm not going to stop talking. You never started talking anyway. You hypocrite. You fool. Now, listen, I bet you Ellen wasn't like this before, but again, there's a toxicity in Hollywood. You turn into something that you're not. I'm sure she was never always like this. But again, she lost herself. You own the damn show. This is your show. How the hell do you go and let yourself get controlled like this? I mean, come on, Ellen. You got the pants on in your couple with Portia de Rossi. Stand up. Why do you let yourself get stumped around by your bosses? And then you take it out on your people, on your staff. That's criminal. It's almost criminal. I can't believe you let that happen. Well, there's not a legal civil lawsuit here against her. If there was a way to do it, man, I would say, come on, let's get some civil action going on. Class action lawsuit for, defamation or for, unsafe work environment. Like, seriously. And where are the unions on this? Where's SAG-AFTRA? Where's I'm sorry, I get all the letters confused. IATSE, AMPTP. Where are all those people? Where are those people? Where's the Directors Guild? Why aren't those people getting involved in this? If they see this going on, it's just a TV show. You can find somebody else that can put another show up that can do just as good. Just because Ellen gets ratings doesn't make a difference. You shouldn't give her the right to go ahead and push people around like that. And there's more about it. Again, it just continues to get growing forward as this goes along. And as long as she stays in her house with a private production crew doing the show, she deserves to get the scrutiny. She deserves all of it. Because obviously she did nothing about it. She didn't try to change your ways. She said what she said about Black Lives Matter because she said she needs to be a better ally. She's being told to say that. Or she's saying it to play to the mob mentality. Because she will get canceled out. That's the only thing she matters about now is fear of being canceled. That's what she cares about. Cares about her money. She's stricken and sucking up power and control. That's what she wants. Now she's power hungry. That's what she's been for a long time. More the better. Can never be enough. So we talked about the former bodyguard said he had a negative experience with her at the 2014 Oscars, calling the TV host treatment of others demeaning. I talked about the employees getting all treated badly, right? And then another person says, for nearly a year, one former employee said they took medical leave for 1 month to check into a mental health facility for a suicide attempt. But then when they returned to work, they were told their position was being eliminated. That is cold. Quote, you'd think if someone would just try to kill themselves, you wouldn't want to add any more stress to their lives. You couldn't give this girl or this, I don't know if it's a young lady or not, this employee, excuse me. You can't tell me that this employee doesn't get the opportunity to go ahead and get maybe some kind of clinical help. You can't help that. If you don't want to bring him or her back, fine. But why don't you just can't go and help out and offer some kind of, you know, mental care so that person can be mentally healthy once again? Oh, wow. It's just horrible. Some of the producers talk openly and publicly about addiction and mental health awareness, but they're the reason there's a stigma. Quote, they definitely don't practice what they preach with the be kind mantra. And that's the biggest part. She says be kind, and look what they're doing. Here's another one. Another former employee said they were fired from an unexpectedly difficult year, required to take time away from the job for 3 occasions, medical leave for 3 weeks after they were injured in a car accident, working remotely for 2 days to attend a family member's funeral. Working remotely. Did not stop working. 3 days off to travel for another family member's funeral. Each request was a battle with supervisors and HR. Who was this? Vince McMahon they're working for? What's going on here? Quote, that's the definition of a toxic work environment. When they make you feel like you're going insane and then you're like, no, everything I was feeling was right. It was all leading up to this. And this story was corroborated by 5 former employees and medical records. Another one created a GoFundMe page campaign to raise money for medical costs that weren't covered by the company's health insurance, shared on the social media. 24 hours after posting the GoFundMe page, they were called into the department head's office and told to take it down because of concerns it might hurt Ellen's image. Oh, so poor Ellen that makes $20 million a year for this show or whatever she makes. She makes a whole lot of damn money for this show. She can't take care of her employees during a pandemic. She can't help out with these people when they're in times of need that have been working back, breaking their backs for them literally to help out with this show. This is incredible. I don't understand why people are not talking more about this witch that's on TV acting like she's like the good witch of the West or whatever it is. You know, it's horrible. Another employee said they were fired about posting a selfie laughing with coworkers in the office on a personal Instagram story, a violation of their contract. I would never want to work for this woman. I mean, this is where I left corporate in the first place. This is like, it's just evil. There's such a thing as a corporate work environment when you have these executive producers that are talking about middle management placating to the bigger names, you know, for job security, but then treating everybody else underneath them like shit. Well, that's par for the course for corporate. That's why I left it 15 years ago, almost 15 years ago to the day. And to see this right here, oof, this is horrible. And it's again, staffers who have more likable personality traits, they can go to work 10 plus hour days without complaint, actively ignore how managers and senior level producers treat others that have been given new iPhones, JetBlue gift cards, and other swag the show keeps on hand from its sponsors. They're taking from the sponsors. The executive producers, what a pieces of shit as well, former staffers. Oh. Some employees defend the work culture. Of course, they're trying to keep their jobs. But it's typical TV production. But other employees with experience said the Ellen DeGeneres show stood apart as particularly negative. I'm done. I can't even talk more about this. But this story, I'm putting it in the description. Go and check it out for yourselves. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.